Hello, it's me again, and today I'm going to be teaching you how you can make this pretty oak, mangrove and spruce house. It may look a little bit complicated at first, but I promise it's super duper easy to make, so let's get on with it. First and foremost, here are the dimensions of the build. I would recommend taking a screenshot of this just for future reference. So first things first, we are just going to build around that perimeter that we've just mapped out. For this, I have decided to use andesite, but you can use whatever kind of stone you want. And you're going to want to build that up so it's about 2 blocks in height. You can make it higher if you want. I've just decided to go with 2 blocks high. And this is going to act as a sort of foundation for the build to sit on top of. And then once I was happy with that, I decided to just add in a few little odd blocks of cobblestone and smooth stone along with some stairs, just to add a little bit of texture into that foundation. Obviously you can just skip that step out, but I think it just adds just that little bit of extra something to the build to make it look a little bit more interesting. And once that's all done, you can go ahead and fill it all on in. We want it to be like totally dense, just so that any of the little gaps created by the stairs aren't too visible, like we don't want to be able to see daylight through them. I just decided to fill it all in with andesite because you're not really going to see much of this part at all, but it's totally up to you. If you decide you want to add in that cobblestone and the smooth stone again in that part, that's absolutely fine. Okay, next step, we're going to start building the framework for the build, and for that I'm going to be using just regular oak wood. This is where having a screenshot of the dimensions might come in handy to refer back to, just because we're going to be placing the oak wood down where the dark purple blocks were on the dimensions. And then we're going to start building up. The 2 outermost pillars on the left hand side only need to be 3 blocks high, but all of the rest of them want to be 5 blocks high, so here I am just building them up so they reach 5 blocks in total. And then on the 5th block up, you're going to just start building around and joining all of the little posts together. I love adding a framework to my build just because it gives you an extra little layer where you can add in loads of different kinds of decorations like hanging plants, hanging lanterns, all the like. And here's where we're up to. I know it doesn't look much like a house so far, but stick with me, we will get there. Now that we've finished with the frame, we can go and make a start on filling in the walls. For that I'm using oak wood planks and stripped oak wood. So to do this, I'm just going to move in 1 block from where the framework is and then go ahead and build around the inside. You might notice that I like to leave a little gap where the inward facing corners are, and that's because I like to use oak wood there instead of just like the planks or the colour that I'm using for the walls. I don't really know why I do it. I think it's just like a style thing, but you are more than welcome to just fill that block in with the regular planks instead. But anyway, you're just going to go ahead and build those walls up 4 blocks high. Here I am just filling in those corners in with the oak wood. And now it's time to chop out where you want your windows to go. So on the front of the build, I'm just chopping 2 little windows out and then the door. And on the far right hand side, I'm going to do a 3x2 window. On the far left hand side, I'm going to chop out a 3x3 gap, and this is going to be like a little archway to a balcony area. This part is completely optional, but here I'm just adding in a little bit more texture to my walls. And to do this, I'm just chopping out some random gaps and filling them back in with stripped oak wood. I like doing this because it kind of breaks up the uniformity of the build, and I feel like staring at like lots of oak planks, or just planks in general, just send my eyes feeling a bit funny. And here's how everything's looking so far. It's not quite looking like a house yet, but we will get there, so trust the process. This next step is probably as complicated as it's going to get, because we are going to be starting to map out where the roof's going to go. Starting with our spruce stairs, we're going to be placing a block 1 block up and 1 block out from where our framework is. And we're just going to connect those together. However, we're going to leave a little gap on the far left hand side, on the front, and on the far right hand side of the build. As you'll see later, this will create a sort of little archway where we can add in a window and a bit more detail and decoration into the build. And now on to creating our arch shapes. This follows the formula of upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, stair. Then repeat on the other side. I understand that's a lot to take in at once, so feel free to pause the video, go back, do what you need. And the little gap in the middle is just going to be filled in with 2 spruce planks and an upside down stair. And then we're going to repeat that for the other 2 gaps that we left. And once we've finished building our arch shapes, this is what we should be left with. Now we're going to make a start on filling the roof in. For this, I've decided to go with mangrove planks. And all I'm doing here is placing a mangrove block on each of the upside down stairs and spruce planks, just so that when I go to fill the roof in, nothing gets muddled up and everything stays in line. You'll see it in action in a moment. So as you can see here, I'm just going backwards and forwards and linking up those mangrove blocks to the opposite arch. And I'm not having to worry about anything getting muddled up or things looking uneven or anything like that. And here's another little progress update. We are starting to have something that resembles a house now. Now it's time for my least favourite bit, which is just tidying up the inside of the build. This is obviously an optional step if you only want to have the outside of your build on display, but if you do decide that you want to decorate it one day, this is just kind of a way of cleaning everything up so that it's ready to decorate. I like to add a layer on the inside of oak wood, just regular oak wood, as it kind of acts as a divider between a first floor and a second floor. Again, this is all completely optional and up to you. Anyway, now I'm just going ahead and filling in all the little archways, and I'm building up the wall height to where it meets the roof on the inside. And as I'm going along, you'll just see me adding in a few more lanterns where needed, just to brighten the place up a little bit. And I prefer lanterns to torches, they just feel a little bit more atmospheric. And once that's done, I'm just going to go ahead and mark out my windows. And as we did before, we're just going to intermingle some stripped oak wood with the oak wood planks, just to give a bit more texture in. Now to the top of the build, we're just going to alternate with spruce wood planks and spruce wood half slabs. It just adds a little bit of an extra frame to the top of the build and makes it just a little bit more visually interesting. Yeah, I first saw somebody doing this on Pinterest, and full credits to them because I just think it just adds something extra to the build. And to the underneath of the roof frame, we're just going to add on the ends an upside down stair, and then we're going to alternate with spruce wood, half slabs, and nothing at all. Again, it kind of mimics the top of the build, just adds a bit something extra. And now I'm going to go ahead and fill in my windows. I like to do the windows at the top of the builds with stained glass. It sort of makes it look like a little flower, and it just adds a little bit of extra something to the build. And I usually just go with regular clear glass on the bottom of the build, unless I'm feeling extra fancy, in which case I will go for some coloured glass. And now it's time to sort out this balcony area. For this, I'm just using half slabs, and I'm sort of creating like a staircase pattern until it reaches the main framework of the build. Then we're just going to go ahead and repeat that on the other side and join the bottom part together. Just like with the main portion of the roof, I'm going to go ahead and fill this in with mangrove wood, but this time I'm going to be using the half slabs. And now for the staircase leading up to the door. I'm going to start with a spruce half slab in each corner of the door frame, followed by a series of oak wood pillars, and every other one is going to have a spruce wood half slab on the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the actual stairs part with alternating oak wood half slabs and mangrove half slabs. And here's how we are looking. It feels like it's all starting to come together now, but it's time to decorate. So starting with the balcony part, we're just going to add a few upside down stairs to the archway, just to make it a little bit more interesting, and then we're going to just fill in the perimeter with lecterns. I saw someone do it on Pinterest and I just thought it looks so cool, so full credits to whoever did that first. And I just like to fill in the corners of any spaces with a leaf block followed by some stairs. And it wouldn't be one of my builds if I didn't add an obnoxious amount of lanterns and plants, so just go ahead and add them to your taste. Today I've decided to go with red tulips, mushrooms and ferns as my decorative plants of choice. My best bit of advice while decorating is if you see a space, either fill it with some stairs, some leaves, or some plants and a lantern. It's kind of like a foolproof combination that always kind of turns out semi-okay looking, or at least in my experience it does. Here I've created some little windowsills using leaves and spruce wood half slabs, and I'm just popping some plants on the top just to add a little bit more decoration. And usually I'll go ahead and fill in any archways with very, very similar or the exact same kind of decorations. Usually I'll just switch it up with the plants a little bit. Around the door frame, I'm just adding some leaves and some upside down stairs, just to create a little bit more shape. And I always like to add a lantern to just above the door and a plant either side of where the door goes. In my opinion, it just makes it look nice and homey. And finally, here I am just working on the decorations on the right hand side of the build. Just sort of following the same process as before, so adding some leaves and some upside down stairs to the corners, as well as a little windowsill using some leaves and half slabs. In big windows like this, I like to stagger my lanterns. Again, it's a little bit something different rather than having everything completely uniform. was a time I'd recommend you have a little bit of fun with textures. So here I am just adding some trapdoors to the bottoms of the framework, but you can do the same by adding signs or buttons onto your build. Now we are getting into the final stages, and starting off we're just going to be adding some extra little parts into that foundation of our build. For this I'm just using a combination of stone, andesite and cobblestone, and also the half slabs for each, and I'm just building up in certain areas, usually in the corners. I don't always choose to do this, but I chose to today because I felt like it just blended the build into the surrounding area a bit more, rather than looking like it's just been plonked down, if that makes any sense at all. And there we have it. You can choose to stop here, but if you're like me and you want to be a little bit extra, we're now going to add in a load of extra plants and flowers and grass on the outside of the house, just to tie in all the decorations of the house to the surrounding area. So I'm starting off by adding a load of regular grass in. I feel like this sort of gives it a bit of like an overgrown look, like the lawn hasn't been mowed in a while. And then I'll just add in some tall grass for a bit of variation. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and add in some of the red tulips that we used on the house, as well as some rose bushes as well, just because they are a similar colour to the tulips, but they're much like taller in height. Again, giving a bit more variation. And that, my friends, is everything finished. I had so much fun making this build, and I hope you all enjoy it too. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any questions or suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'll be trying to answer as many as I can. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!